Alright guys, you know what time it is. It's our yearly roundup of the craziest, most absurd player bases in No Man's Sky. The last set of entries we had really made some rounds, but for this year we're actually leveling up to the next stage. The theme for today is full-blown cities, odd contraptions, and above all else, functionality. But before we jump in, a quick word from our sponsor. The 7 Deadly Sins Idle Adventure is a light-hearted hero combat RPG based on the highly popular The 7 Deadly Sins anime, which you can, by the way, totally go ahead and download right now for free from both the App Store and Google Play. Now this game is super chill and easy to pick up. It has a unique chibi graphic style, impressive combat, and tons of insanely cool abilities depending on the heroes that you choose. Now there are plenty of options to play with, from damage dealers, tanks, healer, or even picking a support for your party. You can either focus more on PvE, gather your friends to form a knighthood, battle against the Red Demon, or even duel other players in the PvP Fight Festival. Your characters also evolve over time and become much stronger as you play, so you can totally come up with your own build styles to take on any challenge. You can even discuss best strategies and build optimization with other members of the game's massive community. But right now, Netmarble is giving away some huge rewards that you don't want to miss. This includes 3,000 pulls, 3 legendary hero summons, a legendary tier Diane, and lots more if you download the game right now using the links down below. So totally check out the 7 Deadly Sins Idle Adventures using the links down below. Kick off the perfect start with these awesome rewards for free, and I'm gonna give another huge shout out to the team for sponsoring today's video. At number 7 we have Aquilis Outpost, and I'm really impressed because in the past few weeks oil rigs got a lot more popular, especially after the Worlds update. I guess a lot of people want to take advantage of the really awesome looking water effects, and it seems that this is the go-to type of base that you're going to see a lot of folks going for nowadays. Except this one kinda goes one level above, both in using glitch building, which you know I always give extra points for, especially if it's creative, but it also still keeps a lot of functionality because it does feature a number of autonomous extractors in the middle of the rig, which you can, by the way, go ahead and power up. They do function, so even if you are not the owner of the base, you can still stay there and I guess gain a bunch of resources, though that's not the main theme over here. The main theme is to obviously just pay attention to it and maybe get some hints if you want to create your own version. Now this makes excellent use of many of the newly added contraptions, like for example some of the weight lifters are used in a very creative way over here. Obviously the user has enlarged a lot of these base parts to make the oil rig look the way it is. I think it's definitely one of the better looking options. However, I kinda wish that some of the interiors were better made use of. Like, there are quite a few rooms that seem to have been started, but I'm not actually seeing anything inside of them, so this could just be an oversight, or maybe the fact that uploading bases doesn't always transfer all of the parts. Still, there's also a secondary sort of smaller rig not too far away from the initial option, so I think that this is definitely one of the coolest oil rigs that I've seen currently in the Worlds Update Part 1. Now at number 6 we have Destiny, a Stargate inspired sort of ship base. We kind of covered some of these before, including the Stargazer, which was really one of the most insane contraptions I've seen until then. Well, this kind of reaches a similar level and it's absolutely massive, pretty much occupying the entire space it takes for a base computer to generate, well, the base limit. In fact, the user who created this made 7 other bases on the same save file, pretty much reaching the 16,000 part limit entirely and being pretty much forced to start a new game to be able to even build additional bases. Inside of it, you're going to find a number of rooms, including the engine room with oversized portal over there. I also like the way that it was built, very reminiscent of the Stargate movies. Now, there's also what I believe to be called a keynote dispenser inside of it. So you can go ahead, press a button, and this gives you this spherical dark object, which I'm not sure exactly what it does. So anybody familiar with the franchise, let me know down below in the comments. Now, there are some other rooms in there that you can find. I do wish that they were a bit more built up and maybe add with some furniture or some other stuff like leisure areas. But all in all, it looks really great. And this is all situated, by the way, in the 256th galaxy. So pretty much the last one. You're either going to need a taxi or travel there manually, but good luck with that. Now at number 5, we have a type of base that used to be extremely popular a couple of years back. This, ladies and gents, is the Watchtower 2.0, a Justice League animated series inspired suborbital base. Now I have one of these of my own as well. I really love orbital bases. They give you a nice overview and sense of scale when you're looking down at the planet. Except this also has a lot of functionality and some really awesome Justice League inspired themes. So when you take the teleporter from above, this brings you to almost the mid section of the tower, which you can then use for a second teleporter to go almost all the way down at its base. And here's where you will encounter the engine room, which you can activate with the trapdoor below. This type of doorway also used to be very popular before. I also have one of my bases featuring this, except it's vertical instead of horizontal. But it's very interesting to know that the engine room functions on steam engines. So yeah, somebody tell Bruce Wayne that he probably needs to do an upgrade. But despite all of this, it makes excellent use of all of its interior space. Pretty much every inch gets utilized. So we have a war room around the middle section, which I'm going to assume is the place where Justice League members gather. There's a weapons room above, which I'm going to assume that, heroes like Batman are going to use. Above it, there's also the med bay. There are several sort of beds, kind of like a smaller scale hospital. So again, this is something that the Watchtower also featured in the animated series. And if you take this secret path over here, there's kind of like a bigger tube with some stairs leading all the way almost at the top of the tower. There's a panic room with a form of jail or containment area. And check this out, you can actually activate this button to open up the cages, except that when you do that, the door to this panic room gets closed so that you are protected inside. That is a really awesome attention to detail that I haven't seen in other bases before, but of course its functionality is limited. Venturing deeper inside, I also stumbled upon what I believe to be a containment area. Now there are several high-grade protective doors that stay in the way of it, but if you press the right button combination, you can open them all up, and this brings you to what I believe to be this game's version of a kryptonite crystal. But it looks really awesome. Again, really impressed with the interconnectivity and all of the creative aspects of the base. Now at number 4, we're going into the more interesting batch of bases of this video, and the next one is going to be the Anomalous Portal. And as the name implies, it's just that, one single portal, which actually does a couple of very strange things. If you enter its backside, it's going to spit you pretty much onto the opposite side of the planet. However, if you enter its front side, it's going to spit you inside of the space station above. Also, suspiciously, that the space station is actually very close to the planet's atmosphere. It's definitely one of the closest space stations I've seen to an actual celestial body. But the way this was built, according to the player who made this base, is that he glitched 24 short-range teleporters in such a way that if you enter from one side, it spits you exactly inside of the anomaly, and if you do it on the other side, it gives you pretty much a glitch towards the opposite side of the planet. Something that he has actually taken into account and fully calculated the range of the teleporters of to bring you to that specific spot, which again, I'm going to say it's absolute genius. I haven't seen many other bases that take this kind of gameplay interaction into account, which is what makes this one of the coolest contraptions, at least from the ones that I've seen in all my years of playing No Man's Sky. Which is why we're going to talk about the number 3 base now, and I really like the way players take advantage of new features added, and one of them, which is bound to happen, was bases on the new floating island environments. And we have one called the Village into the Clouds. It's actually one of the bases the user created. There are several others that they have made. This was the one that I got access to, and it looks absolutely amazing. Like I said, it's fully built upon one of these floating islands, one that also features a floating river. I love the way it was all created using some of the concrete, slash Viking base parts, which I believe gives this whole sort of base a lot of personality. And every single interior, every single building, everything that you see here has a purpose, and it was well decorated. There's no interior I've seen that hasn't been carefully crafted to really give you the illusion that there may be a civilization over here, or maybe somebody who actually paid a lot of attention and put in a lot of effort. I absolutely love these types of bases that go more than a few steps above to really sell you that idea. And the way this is made is almost, it gives you like the impression that this could have been part of the game all along and not really something that the player had to create from the ground up, which is what I believe makes it that much more impressive. There are some teleporters over here that can bring you to some of the adjacent islands, but all in all, absolutely love it. One of the best, and the sceneries are just jaw-dropping. And the thing is, it's not even the most insane base on today's list. The next one is probably going to take the cake by far from all the bases I've seen in my 8 years of playing this game, and that has to be the Rainbow City. Not only is this one of the best recreations of a city I've ever seen in No Man's Sky, but this one also features a number of other bases around it, acting as vacation homes with an amazing view of the city itself. So the Rainbow City is pretty much a cyberpunk-inspired sort of dystopian setting. It definitely looks even better at night, but I really love the use of neon signs, holograms, and all the other stuff that makes it the way it is. There are many base parts over here that were enlarged or made smaller to kind of reflect that sort of dystopian city that you kind of got used to maybe in Cyberpunk 2077. Even the street levels are some of the best created. You might not pay attention to these, but as somebody who creates a lot of bases, having these look like actual roads is probably one of the most, like, the biggest marvels of engineering I've seen in this game. It all looks very authentic, and it also features a lot of interconnectivity and a lot of inside areas, a lot of bars, a lot of restaurants, even like financial districts. There's also like shops for weapons, also like food sectors and all of that, which absolutely were built with a lot of attention to detail. What I really love is that you can enter many of these buildings and you might find elevator areas, not just inside the buildings, but on the street levels as well. And they are actually connected to other higher up sections, such as penthouses, banks, and even a full-blown metro system. Obviously, the game doesn't have anything that functions like that, but this sells that illusion very well. Like, the entire area, including the stops and the tram rails, are actually really well made, pretty much circling around the entire city and going through the city center. You can also use that to reach some of the other penthouse areas or even higher up restaurants. Looks really awesome, and in my opinion, there's a lot of like attention to detail going on over here. There's also a pyramid club. This reminds me of the one we had in Phantom Liberty. Again, a pyramid, which is pretty much a club with a large dance floor. But in this case, the user also added one of these galaxy views, enlarged it, and made it kind of like the entire ceiling area, which just gives this entire place a different personality. In my opinion, it's one of the best creations and something that I'm probably going to borrow for my bases from now on. But like I said, outside of the city, you're going to find a lot of these higher up, high net worth sort of villas and other very expensive looking houses which have an amazing view of the city. There are multiple of them, as you can see in the background, and each and every single one had the same amount of care put into it as the city itself. Maybe even more. This is like at least 50 to 100 hours of pure game time just to put these into action. So hands down, the most ambitious base build I have ever seen in this game by far. Like, there's not even a competition, and trust me, we had some insane builds before as well. Anyway, on a final note, we do have a bonus base I did want to feature. This is actually part of the featured bases at the teleporter terminus, and I like this one because of how small but also how much attention to detail there is. This is the Polestar, Potions, and Apothecary base. You can just access it from the teleporter. It's basically just a mushroom house, so it's not that big, but its personality is like one of the greatest I've seen. There's so much to it, so much unique design with a lot of these mushrooms going on, of course making use of many of the base props, but like the planet also fits very well. So once you enter inside, you're going to notice like cauldrons and mushrooms, a lot of potions on tables, very well placed, a lot of plants and whatnot, something that you would expect from, I'm not sure, maybe a wizard or a witch or somebody who just likes playing with potions, an apothecary of sorts. There's also like a room above which kind of acts like a sleeping area with a bunch of chairs and some sofa. And again, level quality over here is really high. Even on the walls, you're going to see a number of these decorations and lights that really fit the theme over here. And there are plenty others in the featured base terminus as well that you can go ahead and check out. This is it with the bases. Let me know down below which one of them was your favorite, and also let me know down below if there's any other ambitious projects such as these. I would definitely love to cover more of them in future videos. In the meantime, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.